In the heart of North Carolina, where the forests grow so thick that daylight feels like a guest rather than a resident, there is a place that has fed whispers for centuries. Locals lower their voices when they speak of it, as if raising the volume might awaken something listening just beneath the soil. The Devil's Tramping Ground, a barren circle where nothing grows, where animals refuse to cross, and where, according to generations of stories, the devil himself comes to pace through the night. At first glance, it's only a ring of scorched earth. But the moment you step near it, something inside you changes, as if the air thickens and your instincts sharpen to a single message: you are not welcome here. People who visit the site say time behaves strangely. Shadows seem to shift even when the moon is still. The woods grow unnaturally silent, as if the creatures of the forest know better than we do. And what makes this patch of ground more unsettling than any ghost story is that no one, not scientists, historians, explorers, or skeptics, has ever truly explained why nothing can grow here. No chemicals, no fire damage, no natural anomaly. Just a perfect circle where nature stops obeying its own rules. The story goes back well over 200 years. The earliest settlers documented it in journals, terrified by what they found deep in the woods. They described a clearing roughly 40 feet wide where the earth was dead. Not sick, not damaged, dead. Horses pulling wagons refused to step inside. Dogs whined and dug their heels into the dirt. Even birds avoided flying over it, circling the perimeter instead, moving as if guided by an invisible warning. Many settlers believed the place was cursed. Others thought it was a Native American ritual site, but local tribes denied any connection, claiming the place belonged to something far older, something they themselves avoided. Even now, descendants of those tribes shake their heads when the subject comes up, saying, "Some places aren't meant for us." If you want to understand the unease this place generates, you have to experience the forest leading up to it. The trail feels ordinary at first, but the deeper you go, the quieter everything becomes. The sound of insects fades. The birds disappear. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. People describe feeling watched, even though the forest is empty. As you approach the circle, the trees lean away from the clearing, as if refusing to reach their roots into the soil. And then you see it, a bare ring of earth, almost unnaturally symmetrical, as if carved with intention. No grass, no weeds, no flowers, just dirt so pale it almost seems bleached. Most unsettling of all, objects left inside the circle overnight are never found where you put them. Campers have reported waking up to find their tents dragged outside the perimeter, sometimes folded neatly, sometimes tossed violently. Shoes disappear. Backpacks are relocated. Even heavy objects like coolers and chairs move on their own, as if something paced through the night, pushing everything aside as it walked. The legend says the devil walks here every night, pacing in circles as he plans the corruption of mankind. The bare earth is simply the result of his feet scorching the ground as he walks. It's the kind of story one might dismiss, if not for the hundreds of testimonies over the years describing strange lights, disembodied voices, and an overwhelming feeling of dread. Teens who dared each other to spend the night inside the circle often returned pale and trembling, unable to describe what happened. Some said they heard footsteps circling them. Others reported glowing red eyes, staring at them from the tree line. A few were so shaken they refused to speak of the place again. A group of researchers once attempted to monitor the circle overnight with cameras and audio equipment. By morning, every device was either dead or malfunctioning. Batteries drained despite being fully charged. Hard drives corrupted without explanation. The footage that survived contained nothing but staticon, a faint rhythmic sound, almost like someone pacing slowly back and forth. Over the years, investigators, scientists, and skeptics have all offered theories, but none of them have held up. Soil samples have been taken repeatedly. They show nothing unusual: no toxins, no radiation, no chemical imbalance. Yet seeds planted inside the circle never sprout. Even artificial fertilizer does nothing. It's as if the ground refuses life. Skeptics suggest it might be the remnants of an ancient campfire repeatedly burned in the same spot, but experts dismiss this instantly. No fire, no matter how frequent, could prevent plant growth for centuries. Others claim the circle is caused by salt deposits from an old livestock pen. But again, tests show normal soil composition. The truth is that every rational explanation fails, leaving behind a mystery that deepens with every investigation. The more we try to understand the Devil's Tramping Ground, the stranger it becomes. People who visit the site often describe psychological effects. Some feel a sudden wave of sadness, others intense fear. A few report nausea, or a strange pressure in the chest. Many say they feel watched or followed. There are stories of people hearing heavy footsteps behind them, only to turn around and find no one there. One man claimed he felt a warm breath on his neck as he stood near the circle. Another said he heard someone whisper his name from inside the clearing, even though he was alone. More than one visitor has admitted they fled the area without understanding why, overcome by a primal instinct to run. These accounts come from hikers, locals, military personnel, and even trained investigators. Different backgrounds, different beliefs, the same unnerving feeling. And then there are the lights. Strange orbs that appear late at night, floating above the trees or hovering at the edge of the circle. Some are bright white, others red or orange. They flicker and move in ways that defy explanation. Hunters have reported seeing these lights from a distance, thinking they were other people with flashlights until the lights suddenly shot upward and vanished. A family camping nearby once saw a glowing sphere drift lazily above the clearing, casting long shadows from the trees before it blinked out like a candle flame. People debate what the lights could be: swamp gas, drones, animals, reflections. But none of those explanations account for the speed, the silence, or the precision with which the lights move. Some say the lights are spirits, others say they're something older. In one chilling account, a man described a red orb floating toward him, stopping mere inches from his face before darting straight into the woods without a sound. Locals tell a story about a man named Thomas Benton, a logger from the early 1900s. Thomas was known for being fearless, the kind of man who scoffed at ghost stories. One night, after a few drinks, he bet his friends he could spend the night in the devil's tramping ground without flinching. They dropped him off with a lantern, a bedroll, and a bag of food. At dawn, when his friends returned, they found Thomas sitting at the edge of the clearing with his face buried in his hands. The lantern was smashed, the bedroll was gone, his food was scattered across the woods. When they tried to ask him what happened, Thomas could barely speak. All he said, over and over, was, "It kept coming back. No matter where I went, it kept coming back." He refused to ever return to those woods. Some believe he saw something pacing around him through the night. Others think it was something much closer. Another famous account comes from a group of Boy Scouts who camped nearby in the 1940s. The troop leader insisted the boys stay outside the circle, warning them not to cross the line. But one boy, curious and stubborn, placed his sleeping bag right in the middle of the bare patch. That night, the troop leader woke to the sound of rustling and soft thuds. When he got up to check, he found the boy's sleeping bag dragged several feet outside the circle, the boy still asleep inside. Thinking the boy had rolled downhill, he moved the bag back inside out of curiosity. The next morning, at sunrise, the boy woke up outside the circle again, this time on the opposite side. The earth inside the ring showed no drag marks, no footprints. To this day, the troop leader's family retells the story during gatherings, shaking their heads and saying, "That place doesn't want company." People have tested the circle many times. One popular experiment involves leaving a heavy object in the center, something too big for animals to move easily. Rocks, logs, weighted bags. Without fail, the objects are dragged outside the circle by morning. Some have tried placing stakes into the ground, tying objects inside to keep them in place. The stakes end up uprooted. The ropes get snapped. No one has caught the moment on camera. It happens only when there are no eyes to watch. Strangely enough, footprints are never found. Not human, not animal. The circle remains undisturbed, as if whatever moved the objects left no trace. There is a deeper layer to this legend, one rarely spoken aloud by locals, but whispered among those who study unexplained phenomena. Some believe the devil's tramping ground is not a place where the devil walks, but a thin place, a boundary between our world and something else. A place where the veil is thinner, where dimensions overlap, where energy pools into strange patterns. According to this theory, the circle may be a natural portal, a disruption in the Earth's electromagnetic field. Some paranormal investigators argue that the strange lights are manifestations of energy, and that the disorientation people feel is a symptom of the body reacting to magnetic anomalies. These are the same kinds of theories used to explain the Bermuda Triangle, Skinwalker Ranch, and other globally known hotspots of unexplained activity. But even if the cause is electromagnetic, the question remains, why here? Why this perfect circle in the middle of countless acres of forest? Another theory suggests the area may have once been a sacred site, a place avoided because ancient people sensed something dangerous lurking beneath the ground. Archaeologists have found evidence of ritual circles in other cultures around the world, places intentionally left barren, used for ceremonies or warnings. Some believe the devil's tramping ground could be a remnant of such a site, passed down through oral history until the origin was lost. But this doesn't explain the movement of objects, the eerie sounds, or the refusal of plants to grow. Moreover, native tribes in the region consistently insisted that the circle was not theirs. They knew of it, they feared it, but they never used it. Whatever the cause, the emotions people feel there are real. Visitors describe a sensation of being pulled toward the center, or pushed away by an invisible force. Some hear faint humming, others a low rumble that vibrates through the ground. A few claim they heard something walking around them in the dark, heavy steps that never enter the circle but always circle it. One man said he heard something sniff the air behind him, close enough that he felt a warm breath on his ear. He ran without looking back. A woman from Raleigh described hearing her name whispered from inside the circle even though she was standing several yards away. She left immediately and refuses to return. But perhaps the most disturbing stories come from those who reported losing time. One couple claimed they visited the circle late one evening, planning to stay for just 10 minutes. They checked the time on their phone before stepping near the clearing. 9:17 p.m. They walked the perimeter, took a few pictures, commented on how unnaturally quiet the woods seemed. When they returned to their car, they discovered it was after midnight. They had no memory of spending more than a few minutes there. Their phones showed no missed calls, no notifications, nothing unusual except the time. Some attribute such experiences to psychological effects, but losing nearly 3 hours without explanation is difficult to dismiss. The phenomenon of missing time is often associated with encounters of a very different kind. Some UFO researchers claim the Devil's Tramping Ground might be connected to extraterrestrial interactions. They point to the circular shape, the barren earth, the strange lights, and the sensation of being watched. Some suggest the area is a landing site, or a place where energy is harvested. Critics dismiss these ideas, but there are people in Chatham County who swear they've seen strange craft in the sky near the clearing, floating silently, darting at impossible speeds, or disappearing in an instant. One farmer claimed he saw a triangular craft hover above the tree line before shooting straight upward without making a sound. He refused to discuss it publicly, saying, "People laugh until they see it for themselves." Skeptics argue these sightings are misinterpretations of planes, satellites, or drones. But the lights described near the circle predate drones by over a century, and they behave in ways no aircraft should. Yet even these theories don't explain the psychological effects, the movement of objects, or the strange lack of wildlife around the site. For all the attempts to fit the Devil's Tramping Ground into known categories, haunting curse, portal, alien phenomenon, none of them fit entirely. The mystery remains stubbornly intact. In the 1990s, a university team attempted a thorough investigation involving soil analysis, electromagnetic mapping, and nighttime observation. They camped near the circle for 3 nights. During the day, everything seemed normal. The equipment functioned perfectly, and the readings showed nothing unusual. But the nights were different. The air became heavier, more oppressive. The forest fell eerily silent. The team recorded faint voices, unintelligible whispers that seemed to shift direction. On the second night, their generator shut off without reason. On the third night, one of the members reported seeing a tall dark figure standing at the edge of the circle, motionless. When he called out, the figure stepped backward into the trees and vanished. In the morning, they found impressions in the soil, not footprints exactly, but shallow depressions spaced too evenly to be animal. They packed up early. These accounts are what make the Devil's Tramping Ground so compelling. It isn't just one strange occurrence, it's layers of them. Tales stretching across centuries. Witnesses from different eras describing the same sensations, the same lights, the same inexplicable events. It's as if the place has a personality, a presence, something actively maintaining its mystery. And while most legends fade as time passes, this one seems to grow stronger, as if the ground itself absorbs every new fear, every new story, feeding off the attention. Some locals refuse to go near it at all. Their grandparents warned them, and their parents reinforced the warning. Nothing good comes from that place, they say. When asked why, the answer varies slightly but always carries the same core: it's not ours. There is something deeply unsettling about a place that even seasoned hunters, who know every inch of the surrounding woods, avoid instinctively. One man who grew up nearby said he only visited the circle once in his entire life. He stepped 1 foot inside and felt such a strong wave of dizziness that he backed out immediately. "It was like the ground didn't want me there," he said. "Like it rejected me." As strange as it sounds, the Devil's Tramping Ground is peaceful during the daytime. The woods feel almost tranquil, the sunlight filtering softly through the trees. The circle, though barren, looks less threatening. Some people even say they feel an odd calm there in the daylight, a sense of neutrality. But as the sun begins to set, that calm evaporates. The temperature drops slightly. The shadows lengthen unnaturally. The birds go silent, one species at a time, until the forest is still. It's as if the woods are retreating, withdrawing their presence before something else arrives. Visitors who stay past dusk report sudden anxiety, as if every instinct in their body is urging them to leave, and those who ignore that instinct often regret it. One modern legend involves a group of college students who decided to test the stories for themselves. They set up cameras, microphones, and motion sensors around the circle. They placed a metal chair in the center. They sat outside the perimeter, waiting for something to happen. Around midnight, the sensors began triggering. First one, then another, as if something invisible moved slowly around the clearing. The microphones picked up a low humming sound, rhythmic and steady. The temperature dropped noticeably. Then, without warning, the metal chair toppled over. There was no wind, no movement, no animal nearby. The students fled, leaving most of their equipment behind. When they returned the next day, the chair was upright again, placed neatly at the edge of the circle. The movement of objects is the most consistent phenomenon reported here, and perhaps the most disturbing. It suggests intent, purpose, a force not merely present, but active. Whether that force is supernatural, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or something else entirely remains unknown, but the effect is undeniable. The Devil's Tramping Ground is not an abandoned relic of folklore. It's a living mystery, one that continues to defy explanation despite centuries of attention. As night deepens in the forest, something about the circle feels alive. Some say they have seen a faint glow rising from the ground, a soft red or orange radiance that pulses like a heartbeat. Others describe seeing a shadowy figure walking back and forth inside the circle, pacing endlessly. A few claim the figure stops to look directly at them before resuming its path. They say its eyes glow red like embers, and its shape is darker than the night itself. Whether these visions are tricks of the mind or manifestations of something real, they leave a lasting impression. The Devil's Tramping Ground is one of those places where belief and disbelief collide. You don't have to believe in the devil to feel uneasy there. You don't have to believe in ghosts to experience the silence that blankets the woods. You don't have to believe in portals or aliens to wonder why the earth refuses life. Something about the place transcends explanations. Rational thought feels small there, as if the circle mocks the limits of human understanding. It challenges us, dares us to make sense of it, dares us to stay just a little longer, to step inside, to see what happens. Even those who dismiss the supernatural find themselves altered after visiting. They speak of it in hushed tones, admitting the place is strange, heavy, or wrong in ways they can't articulate. Skeptics who went in ready to debunk the myths found themselves backing out as the sun set, claiming the atmosphere felt oppressive. People accustomed to exploring haunted locations say the Devil's Tramping Ground is different from anything else. Not haunted in the traditional sense, not a residual echo of tragedy. Instead, it feels like something resides there, something aware, something patient. As years pass, the circle remains unchanged. No grass grows, no debris accumulates. No matter the season, the circle stays bare. Snow melts faster within its boundaries. Leaves blown into the clearing disappear by morning. Even footprints vanish, as if the earth smooths itself overnight. Researchers have documented all of this, and yet they can't explain it. The circle seems to resist change, as if maintaining itself deliberately, as if the ground has a will. Perhaps the most unsettling idea is not that something visits the circle at night, but that something never leaves. That the pacing described in the legends is not a nightly routine, but a constant presence, unseen and persistent, moving just beyond the reach of human perception. The notion that the circle is not a destination but a dwelling place. This thought lingers with many who visit, haunting them long after they leave. And so the legend survives, passed from one generation to the next, strengthened by new encounters, new stories, new mysteries. The Devil's Tramping Ground remains one of America's oldest and most enigmatic locations, a place where folklore meets physical reality in a way that challenges our understanding of the world. Whether you see it as a supernatural hotspot, a geological anomaly, an extraterrestrial waypoint, or a place where the veil between worlds grows thin, one thing is certain: once you step near that barren ring, you will never forget it. Because there are places on Earth that seem to watch us back, places that feel older than time, places where explanations fail, but the experience remains etched into the human mind, and the Devil's Tramping Ground is one of them. A perfect circle of mystery, silence, and shadows. A place where every theory unravels. A place that leaves you with questions that echo long after the forest swallows your footsteps. What truly happens there at night? Why does the Earth refuse life? What force moves objects with such intent? What intelligence keeps the circle pristine? And why, after centuries of stories, does the Devil's Tramping Ground grow no closer to being understood? Perhaps some mysteries are not meant to be solved. Perhaps some places are not meant for us. Or perhaps, just perhaps, the ground itself is waiting, watching, listening, for the next person brave enough to step inside.